15 easy perennial vegetables that keep growing every year. Number 15. Egyptian walking onion, Allium proliferum. Egyptian walking onion is a hybrid perennial that produces clusters of small bulbs at the top of its flower stalks instead of seeds. These bulbils weigh down the stalk until it touches the ground and roots, allowing the plant to propagate itself and move across a garden over years. Once established, it produces continuously without human intervention. The plant is fully cold hardy and survives winters in temperate climates. It thrives in zones 3 through 9. Egyptian walking onions prefer full sun and well-drained soil and moderate moisture, but tolerate partial shade and poor conditions. They require minimal water once established. Modern agriculture abandoned this crop because the bulbs are small and irregular, making them unsuitable for mechanical harvest and standardized packaging. Commercial onions are grown as annuals from seed or sets, which allows for uniform sizing and predictable harvest timing. Both the underground bulbs and the aerial bulbils are edible and used like scallions. The hollow green leaves are harvested continuously throughout the growing season. The plant can produce for 10 to 15 years without replanting or division. Number 14. Good King Henry, Bleatum bonus henricus. Good King Henry is a perennial leafy green native to Europe. It was a staple vegetable in medieval cottage gardens. The plant forms a clump of arrow-shaped leaves and produces edible shoots each spring for up to 15 years once established. It grows in zones 3 through 9 and tolerates both full sun and partial shade. Good King Henry prefers rich, well-drained soil and moderate moisture. It dies back in winter and re-emerges in early spring. The plant is fully cold hardy. It declined after annual spinach became commercially dominant in the 18th century. Spinach could be mechanically harvested and produce tender leaves faster. Good King Henry required perennial space and hand picking, which made it incompatible with large-scale agriculture. Young shoots are harvested in spring and prepared like asparagus. Leaves are picked throughout the growing season and cooked as spinach. The flavor is mild and earthy. A single planting provides greens for a decade or more. Number 13. Asparagus, Asparagus officinalis. Asparagus is one of the few perennial vegetables that remained in commercial production. It is native to Europe, North Africa, and Western Asia. An established asparagus crown produces edible spears each spring for 15 to 30 years. The plant grows in zones 3 through 10 and requires full sun and well-drained sandy soil. Asparagus tolerates drought once established, but benefits from consistent moisture during the harvest period. Crowns must be planted in permanent beds and left undisturbed. Asparagus survived in agriculture because its high market value justified the labor required for hand harvest and the space needed for perennial beds. Most perennial vegetables could not command similar prices and were replaced by faster-growing annuals. Number 12. Sea kale, Crambi maritima. Sea kale is a perennial brassica native to the coastal regions of Europe. It was widely cultivated in British kitchen gardens through the 19th century. Sea kale produces blanched shoots and young leaves for 10 to 15 years once established. It grows in zones 4 through 9 and thrives in full sun. Sea kale tolerates poor sandy soil and coastal conditions, including salt spray and wind. It requires good drainage and minimal water. The plant is fully cold hardy. Sea kale declined because it requires forcing or blanching to produce tender shoots, which is labor-intensive. Annual brassicas like cabbage and broccoli could be grown, harvested, and sold more efficiently. Sea kale's slow establishment period also made it unattractive to commercial growers. Young shoots are forced by cutting the plant with a pot or mulch in late winter. Blanched shoots are harvested in spring and steamed or boiled. They have a flavor similar to asparagus with a slight bitterness. Leaves are eaten young as cooking greens. A single planting provides greens for a decade or more. Number 11. Perennial Leek, also called Daubenton leek or currat, is a wild relative of the common leek. It forms bulbils at the top of its flower stalks, allowing it to self-propagate. Once planted, it divides at the base and spreads slowly into a clump that produces for decades. It grows in zones 5 through 9 and prefers full sun and well-drained soil. Perennial leeks tolerate partial shade and poor soil better than annual leeks. They require moderate water and are cold hardy. Modern agriculture favored annual leeks because they produce larger, more uniform stems suitable for commercial sale. Perennial leeks form smaller, irregular stems that are difficult to harvest mechanically. Their tendency to spread also made them unsuitable for tightly managed crop rows. Stems are harvested by cutting individual shoots at soil level, leaving the base to regrow. They are used like scallions or young leeks in cooking. Leaves remain tender longer than annual leeks. Bulbils can be harvested and used like garlic cloves. Number 10. Sorrel, Rumex acetosa. Sorrel is a perennial leafy green native to Europe and Asia. It was a common pot herb and salad ingredient for centuries. A single plant produces tart, lemony leaves from spring through fall for 5 to 10 years. Sorrel grows in zones 3 through 9 and tolerates both full sun and partial shade. It prefers moist, rich soil but adapts to poor conditions. The plant dies back in winter and reemerges early in spring. It is fully cold hardy. Sorrel declined as agricultural production shifted toward neutral-flavored greens that appealed to broader markets. Its sharp, acidic taste became a liability in commercial agriculture, which prioritized mild, universally acceptable vegetables. Sorrel also wilts quickly after harvest, reducing its shelf life. Leaves are harvested continuously by removing outer leaves and allowing the center to regrow. They are used fresh in salads, cooked into soups, or made into sauces. The tart flavor comes from oxalic acid, which adds acidity without vinegar or lemon. Number 9. Chaya, Nidoscolus aconitifolius. Chaya, also called tree spinach, is a perennial shrub native to Mexico and Central America. It was a staple green in Mayan agriculture. Once established, chaya produces large quantities of nutrient-dense leaves year-round in frost-free climates. The plant grows in zones 9 through 11 and requires warm temperatures year-round. Chaya thrives in full sun and well-drained soil. It tolerates heat, drought, and poor soil once established. Frost kills the plant, limiting it to tropical and subtropical regions. Chaya remained regionally confined because colonial agricultural systems favored annual crops that fit plantation models. Its inability to tolerate cold eliminated it from temperate agriculture. Modern agriculture also avoided chaya because raw leaves contain toxic compounds that require cooking, complicating commercial processing. Leaves must be cooked for at least 5 minutes to neutralize toxins. They are boiled, steamed, or sautéed and used in soups, stews, and traditional dishes. Chaya can produce continuously for 20 years or more with minimal maintenance. Pruning keeps the plant compact. Number 8. Lovage, Levisticum officinale. Lovage is a perennial herb native to southern Europe. It was widely cultivated in medieval gardens for its celery-like flavor. A single plant can grow for 10 to 15 years, producing leaves, stems, and seeds continuously once established. It grows in zones 3 through 9 and prefers full sun or partial shade. Lovage thrives in rich, moist soil and requires consistent water. The plant dies back in winter and reemerges vigorously each spring. It is fully cold hardy. Lovage declined as celery became the dominant commercial crop for celery flavor. Celery is an annual that produces thick, crisp stalks, ideal for fresh market sale. Lovage produces leaves and hollow stems that are less visually uniform and more difficult to package and market. Leaves are harvested throughout the growing season and used fresh or dried. They add intense celery flavor to soups, stews, and stocks. Stems are blanched and eaten like celery. Seeds are used as a spice. Lovage plants can reach 5 to 6 feet in height. Number 7. Globe artichoke, Cinara cardunculus var. Scollimus. Globe artichoke is a perennial thistle native to the Mediterranean. It produces edible flower buds and has been cultivated since ancient times. An established artichoke plant produces for 5 to 7 years in suitable climates. It grows in zones 7 through 11 and requires full sun and well-drained soil. Globe artichokes prefer mild winters and moderate summers. They tolerate heat once established. In colder climates, plants are heavily mulched or grown as annuals. Artichokes survived in agriculture because their flower buds command premium prices, justifying the space required for perennial beds. Most perennial vegetables could not generate comparable revenue and were replaced by annual crops with faster turnover and higher yields per acre. Flower buds are harvested before they open. The base of each petal and the heart are edible after cooking. Buds are steamed, boiled, grilled, or roasted. Harvest occurs in spring or fall depending on climate. Side shoots continue producing after the main bud is harvested. Number 6. Caucasian spinach. Hablitzia tamnoides. Caucasian spinach is a perennial climbing vine native to the Caucasus Mountains. It was cultivated in Russia and Scandinavia, but remained obscure elsewhere. Once established, the plant returns each spring and produces edible shoots and leaves for decades. It grows in zones 3 through 8 and prefers cool climates. Caucasian spinach thrives in partial shade and moist, rich soil. The plant dies back in winter and reemerges each spring. It is fully cold-hardy. The plant remained uncommon because its climbing habit and seasonal growth cycle made it unsuitable for mechanized agriculture. Commercial spinach is grown as an annual in flat beds that accommodate mechanical harvest. Caucasian spinach requires vertical space and hand picking. Young shoots and leaves are harvested in spring and early summer. They are eaten raw in salads or cooked like spinach. The flavor is mild and slightly sweet. The plant produces the earliest greens of the season, often before annual vegetables can be planted. Number 5. Cardoon. Cynara cardunculus. Cardoon is a close relative of the globe artichoke and native to the Mediterranean. It is cultivated for its edible leaf stalks rather than flower buds. An established cardoon plant produces for 5 to 10 years in suitable climates. It grows in zones 7 through 10 and requires full sun and well-drained soil. Cardoons tolerate heat and drought once established. In colder zones, it may be grown as an annual. Cardoon declined as globe artichokes became preferred in commercial agriculture. Artichoke buds commanded higher prices and required less preparation. Cardoon stalks must be blanched and carefully peeled before cooking, which made them less marketable and more labor-intensive. Leaf stalks are blanched in late autumn. After 2 to 3 weeks, stalks are harvested, peeled, and cooked. They are boiled, braised, or added to stews. The flavor is similar to artichoke hearts. Cardoons were valued in Mediterranean gardens for producing substantial harvests from a single plant. Number 4. Jerusalem Artichoke. Helianthus tuberosus. Jerusalem artichoke, also called sunchoke, is a perennial sunflower native to North America. It produces edible tubers underground. Once planted, it spreads vigorously and can produce for decades without replanting. It grows in zones 3 through 9 and tolerates a wide range of conditions. Jerusalem artichokes thrive in full sun and well-drained soil, but adapt to poor soil and partial shade. They require minimal water once established. The plant is fully cold-hardy. Jerusalem artichokes declined in agriculture because they spread aggressively and are difficult to contain. Their irregular tuber shapes made them unsuitable for mechanical harvest and standardized packaging. Potatoes offered more uniform tubers and easier cultivation, displacing sunchokes in commercial production. Tubers are harvested in late fall or winter after frost converts starches to sugars, improving flavor. They are eaten raw, roasted, boiled, or sautéed. The texture is crisp and the flavor is sweet and nutty. Tubers store poorly, so they are typically harvested as needed. Number 3. Perennial kale. Brassica oleracea var. ramosa. Perennial kale is a tree kale variety that forms a woody stem and produces leaves for several years. Unlike annual kale, it does not die after flowering. It can produce continuously for 3 to 5 years in suitable climates. It grows in zones 7 through 9 and prefers full sun and well-drained soil. Perennial kale tolerates coastal conditions, wind, and poor soil, but requires moderate water and benefits from regular harvesting, which encourages new growth. In colder climates, it may survive as a short-lived perennial. Modern agriculture favored annual kale varieties because they produce larger, more tender leaves faster and fit annual crop systems. Perennial kale forms tougher leaves on woody stems that are less marketable. Its multi-year growth cycle also made it incompatible with mechanized farming. Leaves are harvested continuously throughout the year in mild climates. They are cooked as greens or used in soups and stews. The flavor is stronger and more cabbage-like than annual kale. Regular pruning keeps the plant productive and prevents it from becoming too tall. Number 2. Chinese Toon, Tuna sinensis. Chinese Toon is a deciduous tree native to East Asia. Young leaves and shoots are harvested in spring and have been used in Chinese cuisine for centuries. Once established, a tree produces edible shoots for 50 years or more. It grows in zones 5 through 9 and requires full sun and well-drained soil. Chinese Toon tolerates heat, drought, and poor soil once established. Young trees can be coppiced to maintain a manageable height and encourage tender shoot production. The tree is cold hardy. Chinese Toon remained regionally confined and never entered Western agriculture. Its tree form made it incompatible with annual crop systems. Harvest is labor-intensive and occurs for only a few weeks each spring, making commercial production economically unviable compared to leafy vegetables that produce continuously. Young leaves and shoots are harvested in spring when they are red, purple, and tender. They are blanched briefly and used in stir-fries, omelets, and salads. The flavor is pungent and onion-like. Older leaves become too tough and bitter to eat. Number 1. Daubenton's kale, Brassica oleracea var. Ramosa. Daubenton's kale is a non-flowering perennial kale variety. Unlike other kales, it does not bolt and die after producing seed. It forms a woody base and continues producing leaves year after year indefinitely as long as it is harvested and maintained. It grows in zones 7 through 9 and prefers full sun and well-drained soil. Daubenton's kale tolerates coastal conditions, wind, and moderate frost. It requires regular harvesting to encourage new growth. The plant can be propagated from cuttings as it rarely produces seeds. Agriculture abandoned Daubenton's kale because its perennial nature and inability to produce seed made it incompatible with seed-based annual farming systems. Commercial kale is grown from seed in annual cycles, allowing for uniform timing, mechanized harvest, and consistent product. Daubenton's kale requires space, time, and propagation by cuttings. Leaves are harvested continuously throughout the year in mild climates. They are cooked as greens or used in soups and stews. The flavor is mild and sweet compared to annual kale. A single plant can produce for 10 years or more with minimal care, requiring only occasional pruning and feeding.